Hello and welcome back to another episode of Inside the Tank. I'm your host, Tyler Rains, joined by my co-host, Alex Fordahl. The regular season's over, Alex. It's playoff time. I got to ask you, as per usual, how you feeling, man?
I'm feeling, you know what? The regular season's over. The inconsistency of the second half is over. Thankfully. But now is the time where it really matters, right? Regular season doesn't matter anymore. Everything, it's kind of weird in hockey that, players spend multiple months, grueling months, playing the hardest sport in the world, right? Hockey, right? And now if you tell them it doesn't matter, they'll probably be like, yeah, it's true, it doesn't matter anymore. Because what they did is now forgotten. That doesn't matter anymore. The playoffs are the playoffs. The playoffs are the only thing that matter right now, right? So I'm feeling good. I'm feeling optimistic for this playoff series. But you know what? They closed out the regular season in very good fashion.
That they did. They absolutely did. That was probably one of the best games that we've seen them play all season. And I'll tell you why. So for those of you who didn't watch the game or were not able to get down to Oshawa, they ended up winning the game 4-3 in overtime after being down 3-1. And that's everybody's favorite number because, Warriors blew a 3-1 lead. The Hawks 28-3. We're not going to get into that, but the Falcons, we're not going to get into that, but it was a pretty good game. One of the most solid comeback efforts I think I've ever seen, especially this season. They've had a lot of really solid games where they've come back and won the game, but this one I think by far was one of their best. Defensively, started off a little bit slow in the game, like they weren't really jumping at a whole lot of chances, but as the game went on, they started to really kind of wake up and say, hey, we need to do this. It doesn't matter if it's the last game of the regular season. We need to get ready for playoffs, right? As they have been for the last few weeks.
And they have.
So, they have. Wow. I got to say this. I got to hand it to everybody on this team. They've impressed us this year.
No, they did. They absolutely
did. Everybody from the goaltenders to the defense, even the coaching staff.
Yeah.
They've done a great job at getting this team to where they need to be. And it's crazy when the Steelhead set a franchise record for points with 82 points in a season, right? Set a franchise season points record, and they didn't win the Central Division.
It just goes to show how good North Bay was this year. I think at least. I think North Bay was great this year. Yeah.
They defied everybody's expectations.
Mississauga. Oh no, they did. They did.
For the regular season, I should say anyway, because
they did.
Playoffs aren't done yet.
Playoffs haven't started yet as of right now. So
I can't tell you the amount of people who said, "Oh, they're going to finish middle of the pack." They're not going to do a whole lot.
All that. Yeah.
Last in the division, bottom 5 team in the league. They have proven everyone wrong. And I think that's one of the best things that they've done this season is just continue to play their game, play comfortably, and prove everybody wrong.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. What they did in that game was exactly what they've been doing all season. Strong finish, game win. And with that, they set a few records too.
They did.
So I want to point out that James Hardy, special moment for him, not only just scored the overtime winner, but also set a few records for himself, single season records, with most game-winning goals in a single season with 17.
That's a lot of goals.
And most shots in a season by a single player with 289.
He likes to shoot the puck. I like it, man. He's a goal scorer, right? That's what they do. They shoot the puck well.
So there were a lot of records set. And of course, we have to bring up my favorite stat. And if you know me well enough, you know that I think that plus minus is just the dumbest stat ever.
I'm a fan of it.
But
I'm a fan of plus minus. Yeah.
But you know what? It's crazy because I've never seen such a great player who broke such a good record in plus minus. Ethan Del Mastro set a new franchise record for plus minus in a single season with plus 34. Most players that you see in the OHL don't even have a plus 10 when they finish off the season.
Let alone maybe plus 20 for the occasional big player, right?
It's crazy.
So plus 34 for a defenseman who honestly isn't even an offensive defenseman. I wouldn't call him that. I'd say he's a two-way defenseman, right?
Yeah.
But and the thing, it just goes to show how good he is on both sides of the ice, off playing offense and playing defense as a defenseman, right?
Exactly. Yep.
To have that good of a plus minus, because he put up the points. He put up over, I think, well, he had like over 40 points this year, right? Something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Over 40 points.
And it's just baffling. We'll talk about the end of the season before we get into our playoff preview. I just want to go through the stats real quick because this has never been done before. James Hardy set a franchise single season point record. He broke Tippett's record. I'm not going to say shattered it because he did break it, but he didn't shatter it.
Well, he broke it. He shattered. He shattered it. He broke it. Okay. Well, shattering is just another terminology for breaking. He broke the record.
Yeah.
He broke the single season record. 77
points in the season. He's the first Steelhead to hit 77 points in our 10-year history.
Just goes to show how weird our history has been with quality players. But look at Del
Belbaluz also broke the record and is 1 point ahead of Owen Tippett now. So he's the second player to break that record.
And Tippett's in third place, right below Luka Del Belbaluz. Wow. There you go.
With 76, 30 goals and 46 assists. Crazy. James Hardy hit 41 goals, by the way. Just letting you know, for people who said that, what's so special about him? Go look at it. Marinate on that for a minute.
He has a Howard server shot.
He's a 40-goal scorer and he didn't get drafted.
Right there,
how do you justify this? Owen Beck had 51 points. Ethan Del Mastro had 48. Zach Laval with 44. Casper Larson as a rookie defenseman. Keep in mind.
Yeah.
First 15 games of the season, he didn't have one goal. 8 goals, 35 assists for 43 points.
That's incredible for a guy of his stature, 6'6", great skater. Great passer.
Jake Huberty set a personal record, 35 points. It's incredible. The amount of Luke Misa even had 26 points as a rookie.
As an 05.
Really, really good. As an 05. Exactly, as an 05 that's playing in this league.
It's 2005 born player. Crazy. Yeah, that's very good. That's incredibly good.
And the goaltenders, man, Joe Ranger and Roman Bazarin, I have said this so many times during the season. We're lucky that we have them. We are so incredibly blessed to have such a great goalie tandem. I think we're just blessed in general to have such an amazing team.
That's true.
An amazing group of players who's so close to one another, because in previous years, yes, they were close, but this is probably one of the tightest groups that we've seen in recent years.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's 1920, because 1920, I would even suggest they were closer. They were more of a tight-knit group, right? But, of course, not to damper this group currently right now, because they are very close, right? They're brothers, right? And obviously off-ice chemistry equals on-ice chemistry, right? And we saw that throughout the season. When they're clicking, they're hot. When they're clicking, they're a top 2, top 3 team in the OHL. Obviously, they didn't finish that way, but when they were hot in the first half, they were best team in the OHL.
That's for sure. And I mean, honestly, that's, again, points aside, accolades aside, I think it's time now that before we do our preview of the playoffs, remember when I asked you at the beginning of the season, we were going to give our thoughts on the team this year, what we thought about how they played, what their performance was like, that stuff. Let's do that.
Okay.
Because I want to say this, incredible. I predicted at the beginning of the season that they would go all the way. I'm not going to make my playoff predictions. You're not going to get me in this episode. Listen, folks, I'm not making any predictions this time because I don't want to jinx them, but I just want to say this, that they have impressed not just the entire fan base, not just myself, but even people who were just getting into the OHL and, started to gravitate towards the Steelheads. They've impressed them as well because they didn't really know what they were getting into. And I've had a lot of people ask me hey, have they always been this good? And I'm just well, nope. In recent years, they've started to get a lot better.
They started to get a lot better. 1920 was a good team. This was a good team. The team before that was crappy. It was crappy.
And I mean, again, they've proven everybody wrong, as I said.
No, they have. They
and
absolutely have.
My thoughts on this team so far, I don't think you could have built a better team. I don't think that James Richmond, Brendan Taylor, Jeff Grzakis, that they could have built a better team. Everybody talks about how, Hamilton had this and that. Hamilton just added what they needed. The
And it worked.
Steelheads had
On top
what
of
they
good
needed.
coaching. On top,
Exactly.
Hamilton has great coaching. So.
And see, the Steelheads, all they needed to do was add that last piece, and they got that. They didn't need to make like earth-shattering trades at the deadline. They had what they were looking for all along. They didn't need to change much. They just needed to add that one piece, which is Jakey Birdie, and they did that. Like, through this entire season, I've just continued to be in awe from when they were 10 points ahead of North Bay in the standings to the way they finished out the regular season. They did such an amazing job, and I'm super, super proud of this team. Really looking forward to seeing how they do against the Barrie Colts.
No, that's fair. That's more than fair. I will say, though, imagine if they got Arbor Jacki and Jacob Birdie.
Oh,
yeah. This team, man, that's a team that's going far right there. Any team with Arbor Jacki on it. And the funny thing is, the more I see, throughout the second half, especially after the trade deadline, every time I saw Mississauga play against Hamilton, every time I saw Arbor Jacki play, the more I realized why an overager like he was so expensive, right? Because when he was traded, the team that was trading him away received like a second round pick and other picks, right? Which is, to me, incredibly rich for an OA, unless it's like, like a big player, like a Chase Stillman, Mason McTavish kind of player, right? Like a pure impact player, first line player. But my goodness, imagine if that happened. Arbor Jacki on the Steelheads, because I know earlier in the season we were talking about how Evan Brand was kind of wobbly at first, right? We talked about that a bit. He's been fine really for a majority of the season. I've never had a problem with him. I will say though, if someone gave me an offer of like, hey, like, would you rather have Brand on your team or would you have Jacki on your team? I would grab you, slap you in the face and say, was that even a question, Arbor Jacki, right? Of course, not to dampen Evan Brand. I think he's been a very suitable and proficient defenseman for the team all year round. But honestly, like you said, I remember before opening day, so many honestly, so many OHL fan pages on social media. Mississauga's fourth or fifth in the Central Division.
Like
their best player is going to be Del Mastro, Bjorvik, Coleman, Hardy. That's it. Del Belbaluz, all this garbage, right?
And everyone was just saying like, oh, these guys they're not going to have a good season. Nobody's going to pass 50 points. You look at them now, and they're looking like fools.
They're looking very much like fools. And I will say though, besides the influence of people on social media and their takes in regards to Mississauga, I did not think they were going to be as good as they were on paper, especially with the losses they received, right? Cole Schwint, Thomas Harley, Kean Washcrack, Nick Canady, right? Richard Whitaker, oh my goodness, right? Like those guys were, like those were the core in 1920. Like those were the guys who were going to take them to a long playoff run. But then COVID had to happen, right? So, I thought, especially with bringing a lot of rookies, good quality rookies, high picked, first or second round players. Xander Vecchia was a third round pick, Beck second round, Misa and Lavoie first round pick. So I was like, you know what? In terms of replacements, they're getting good quality players. It's just I didn't expect them to be as productive as they were in the first year because, to me, first year for an OHL rookie is for them to take their time, dip their foot in the water, right? Get used to things, right? And then the second year is when they really pop off because for majority of them, that's their draft year, right? But my goodness, our rookies shattered those expectations, especially Owen Beck, who I did not think would be a 20-plus goal scorer and a 30-plus assist man while providing great defense. And I believe all year has maintained a top 10 placement in face-off win percentage. So exactly.
And you know what? And I as much as everybody talks about, the big guys, Del Mastro, Hardy, everybody like that, Pruder even. One guy that didn't get enough recognition this year by a lot of people is Luca Del Belbaluz. If ever there was an award for most improved player in the league,
they should name it after him. It's him. They should name it after him.
By God, it's
6 points to 70 plus.
Yeah. How do you go from, and it's
6 points.
Again,
6 points.
This is the reason why I say that this team is such a good team and it's, one of the best world-class coaching staffs in the league, because You look at that year off that they had. Luca Del Bel Blues came into the league almost a full season, had 6 points. 6.
Fourth liner.
Nobody really thought anything. Like,
Yeah.
nobody knew what to expect. You come into this year, first 5-6 games, he's already got 11 points. And then you're just thinking to yourself, like, what happened?
Real?
Where did he come from?
Is he on roids or something?
And then when we were talking to JR about Luca and his development, it was crazy. The amount of work that he put in, the amount of work that him, Hardy, Del Mastro, that Beck, everybody else that was supposed to play in the 2021 season.
Oh, absolutely.
The amount of work that they put in the offseason and the amount of work that they did during the break benefited them.
Oh, absolutely. Tenfold. Absolutely tenfold.
And it gets to where we are today. You know, so I mean, I have to give a huge congratulations to the coaching staff of JR, Jeff Krizakis, Brendan Taylor for, you know, putting together such an amazing team.
Absolutely.
Because they've done
shout
a
out to
great
the scouts
job
for drafting them in the first
shout
place.
out to Rob Toffoli, the head scout of Steelheads.
Rob Toffoli and the scouting team, right? They do such an incredible job, especially in the last 2 years worth of drafts, right? They've done, I think, a great job. And this year, as we're recording this, literally like 10 days until the 2022 OHL priority selection. So I'm ready to feast on that with our multiple second round picks. I'm ready for that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like it's going to be super fun.
It's going to be very fun.
Before we go into the playoffs, Alex, it's my favorite time of the episode.
What time is it?
What if I told you, see that beautiful Ulla Bjorvik home jersey you have behind you?
I do.
What if I told you that there was a place where you can get jerseys, signed baseball bats, custom artwork, anything that's sports memorabilia related that you can think of? What if I told you that there's a place to get it where it's affordable and there is a lot of really, really cool and amazing stuff?
I would believe you, because that is what CW Sports Memorabilia does. Our good friend Charles Warburton, the official photographer of the Mississauga Steelheads, runs a business called CW Sports Memorabilia, an incredible business with incredible wares. If you're a big sports fan and want to collect signed memorabilia, game used memorabilia, or game worn memorabilia, he is the place to go in the GTA. And like Tyler said, if you're a baseball fan, he's got signed baseballs, signed baseball bats, signed baseball helmets. If you're a hockey fan, signed helmets, signed pucks, signed jerseys, especially the jerseys. If you're a Leaf fan in the area, you're a kid in the candy store with what he's, with what he's got, right?
And again, funny enough, he just posted too that there are a bunch of signed Leafs jerseys from Jack Campbell to Curtis Joseph, everybody big boys that you can imagine on the Leafs that he's done signings with. He's actually got them available on his page now, so you can go and take a look at those for sure.
Absolutely, and it's not even just the Leafs. If you're not a Leaf fan, don't worry, he's got you covered with other big stars from all over the NHL. If you're a Habs fan, he's got some Montreal stuff. If you're a Vegas fan, he's got some Montreal stuff. If you're a fan of any team, he will have something for you. He has a lot. He's got everything. The stuff he has is absolutely incredible.
Everything from hockey to baseball, boxing, golf, anything that you can imagine. He's got a little bit of something for everybody. So definitely go check out CW Sports Memorabilia. We will link their pages in the description down below. And Alex, one more thing. You know what the best part is about all this?
I do know. The best part about this is if you message Charles or if you message the CW Sports Memorabilia social media pages on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, and say you heard and message them and say you heard about them from us, you will get 10% off your very first order. And by the way, I forgot to mention, CW Sports Memorabilia does custom framing for an incredible price, the best wood used for it, better than Michael's, better than all these name brands, right? All at an affordable price, on top of a 10% off discount your first order if you message him and say, hey, I heard you from Pro Shop. Because you know what? It helps us out. It helps him out. And you know what? We're happy to have him as a sponsor. He's a great guy, a great photographer. My goodness, his photos are incredible. And he runs a great sports memorabilia business that we are happy to support. A local business too, right? That's what it's all about.
Exactly.
So.
Especially with the pandemic going on, you know, it's starting to calm down a little bit now, but you know, it's been the theme for the last couple of years. Support local businesses.
Absolutely.
Super happy to do that. So once again, thank you so much, CW Sports Memorabilia, for allowing us to do what we're able to do with your support. So with that being said, Alex, let's look forward into the playoffs. Game 1 is on Friday night, 7 p.m. I am so sad that I won't be able to be there because I'm working, but it's going to be a hell of a game.
It will be a hell of a game. I will be there. It's a big day for me. It's my birthday, as you know.
That's true.
That day. So that's going to be really fun because because the thing is, I remember ever since I was in middle school watching Steelheads hockey, I always wanted them to go long enough in the playoffs where they would play on my birthday, but that's never happened until now. So this is really great. So I'll be there. Yeah. So listen, thank goodness it's at home that they, you know, it gives them a big advantage to start things off on the right foot to get an early series lead, right? You know, and of course, Barrie, they've been fine. They've been, I give them a good thumbs up all year long. They've, they've been a solid team. Nothing incredible. Nothing, nothing like a Hamilton Bulldog team. Nothing, and definitely, of course, nothing like a Niagara team. They're right in the middle. You know, I think they're like the par of the OHL. They're like the pure standard of a solid team, right? And then you add Tyson Forrester to that mix. It gets a bit scary. It gets a bit scary, right?
Oh, you already have Brant Clark, Ethan Cardwell, like Mateo Lalama as your
Oscar. Oh, wait, they traded him for no reason. Sorry, I gotta do that. That was so stupid. Really, come on, people, come on. Anyway, I'm sorry. Continue. I mean, just wanted to.
I get why they did it because he wasn't coming back next year. So I mean, hey, you had to get as much as you did. But,
okay, sure, but yeah.
But I mean, even still, you have all of those players.
Sure. Yeah.
And this is a team that in the regular season, they're not the best. They've known to not have like the best regular season track record, but when it comes to playoffs, they're ready to fight.
They're very ready.
Players that are on the team currently know that.
They very much know that. And the funny thing is, when you compare these two teams, they both have solid tandems.
Exactly.
Obviously, you talk about Lalama, Mac Guzda, who was traded from Owen Sound to Barrie. He's been a top 5 goalie in the league to finish up the season, right? So he's been riding great momentum. Of course, Bazrin and Ranger, we know they've been very solid all year. And the thing is, how many times have we seen Mateo Lalama be a thorn at the side of Mississauga, where some nights he's just a brick wall, just
lights out.
Like Mississauga could put up 45 shots and he would save all 45 shots.
But with that being said, too, though. With that being said, though, too, they have managed to get in both Guzda and Lalama's heads.
Oh, no, they have been in the past.
They made Brant Clark, and I'm not taking anything away from Barrie here. They made Brant Clark, Ethan Cardwell, all of those guys look like fools. I think there was like a 7-3 game when they won. They got under their skin, forcing Barrie to take all those penalties. If they can do that through this series, they've definitely got an advantage. I mean, when you look at the lineups, obviously Mississauga's got the advantage because they've got the better forwards. Arguably, they've got the better defense.
I don't think it's okay. Well, listen. Besides Brant Clark, and I believe Allenson is a defenseman as well, isn't he?
Nate Allenson, yeah.
I like him. He's a fun guy. Doesn't like the game of basketball. That's a reference to Kawhi. but no, listen. And Bo Aki, love that kid. Yeah. Great player. He's gonna be a great player when Clark goes on to bigger, better things. I believe that's what next year because he signed his ELC, right?
Yeah, he did. Yep.
So there you go with that. But that's it though. That's it though for their defense. I think Mississauga's defense is stacked to the bone. All 3 lines of it. You know, as long as they can be healthy, because obviously that was a huge thing, right? Throughout the second half, they were riddled with injuries. Callahan, Uberty was injured, Collins was injured, and some people were even suspended, right? Because I know Xander Vecchia. Is it Vecchia or Vecchia? I should really know this by now. Is it Vecchia?
I've heard it so many times. I mean,
I've heard say
Matt
both.
Collins say it, Vecchia. I've heard him say both.
I think it's Vecchia. Let's just say Vecchia. Xander, we're sorry. We should know this. We should know this by now. Okay. But yeah. But no, listen, like as long as they can stay disciplined, because listen, they lucked out that Xander Vecchia was only suspended for the last game of the regular season. It could have went to the playoffs. It easily could have, but they didn't.
A couple of suspensions. Ty Collins was suspended for a game. Vecchia was suspended. There I go again. Was suspended for a game. Like there were injuries and suspensions left and right. That was kind of like it wasn't severely impacting their lineup, but it was at the same time, it wasn't helping.
It wasn't helping them. And honestly, like with the loss of a guy like Vecchia, who you already know my thoughts. I love talking about the kid. I think he's the hardest working player on the team. He's a workhorse. You know, a guy like, you know, not having him in the lineup is a loss. Having a guy like Charlie Callahan due to injury. My goodness. Also, this was the season that made me realize how important Charlie Callahan is to the Mississauga Steelheads. Like, as soon as he's on the lineup, I'm like, wow. And listen, I like Dylan Gordon. I think he has a great future with the team. I think Dylan Gordon's I love his hip checks. His hip checks are great. He's a nice guy. Great flow.
It's one of those instances where you notice, like, everybody on the team is good in their own way.
Absolutely.
But when Charlie's out, you notice. There's that hole in the defense. Like, you notice that he's not there.
Oh, absolutely.
So, yeah, I agree. I think if they stay healthy and they stay disciplined, they've got a good shot to win the series. But
absolutely.
If there's one thing you learned about the Barrie Colts, never, ever, ever, ever count them out.
No,
because
they can
the more
come back
you
in
start to underestimate them, the bigger they're going to come back and bite you in the butt.
Absolutely.
That's something you got to take into consideration. So with that being said, I would usually ask for your predictions, but I don't want to jinx anything.
We're not going to say anything. This is what I'll say. I think Mississauga will win the series.
Yes.
I'm not going to say in how many games. I'll say they'll win this year. Actually, I tweeted my thoughts on how many games they're going to take. You can
just go check out your Twitter account there.
Check out my Twitter at A Fortadol, Alex Ford. Who cares? Social media, it's stupid anyway. But yeah. So I think Mississauga will win the series. I think they will.
Yeah. I'm not going to say a definitive answer because, again, I'm not going to jinx them.
You don't want to jinx it.
I think
I'm willing to take the risk. If they lose, blame it on me. Yeah, I'm okay with it.
I think they have a really, really good shot of winning this series, especially with the way that they've been playing recently. They've got a really good shot of winning this series. So, you know what? I think we're going to give you a quick rundown of what the playoff picture is looking like so far. Because, well, actually not so far. I mean, everybody's basically confirmed for the playoffs.
The matchups are confirmed. Absolutely. Yeah, that's all. That's all good to go.
We'll start off with the Western Conference because I feel like we, saved the best for last. And
absolutely
in the East, Windsor is taking on Sarnia, which that should be a good series. London takes on Kitchener, Flint and Owen Sound, and then Sault Ste. Marie and Guelph. I am so sorry, Guelph, for what's about to happen.
Guelph, Cameron Allen.
Watch me say that, and then Guelph comes back and wins.
Listen, if Guelph wins, I will be very, very happy. Just as a fan of Cameron Allen and the whole team they have there, and also Tom, our colleague Tom Zubris of the podcast loves Cameron Allen. Yeah. He's the biggest Cameron Allen fan I have ever met. So I think he would love that if they're able to beat the powerhouse Sioux Greyhounds.
Anything's possible. I mean, hey, they've got Owen Bennett as their goalie, so I mean, anything can happen.
He's not even a bad goalie.
And then in the East, you've got Hamilton and Peterborough. Let's go.
Hamilton just 4-0. Just sweep it. Get the broom.
Let's go, Pete. No,
yeah. Let's go, Pete. Absolutely, Donovan McCoy. But come on, man.
Exactly.
I love this team, man.
Then we got the North Bay Battalion taking on the Ottawa 67s, the Kingston Frontenacs taking on the Oshawa Generals, and of course the Mississauga Steelheads taking on the Barrie Colts. So the playoffs, of course,
is this the Western Conference?
What's up? The Eastern Conference. Yeah, we said the West, and then we
said the West. Okay. Yeah. Well, Ottawa.
I'm a little bit surprised that they made playoffs.
I'm really not. No, listen. When they were hot, man. Jack Beck, man, he was good at the beginning of the year.
That's true.
And then he fell off. I know he got injured for a bit though. And of course, our good buddy Chris Barlas, who we interviewed for the OHL draft series last year. He finished his first rookie year.
It's incredible.
So I wish him the best in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I do think North Bay will win. I do think they will win. I think they have better offense, and I do think they have better defense. So, but
either way,
we'll see what happens. Yeah.
We'll start to do our predictions on the hockey show. So, I'm not really one to usually bring up big announcements on the show, but the hockey show is going to be making a return. So stay tuned. Newest episode should be out next week. So we're going to start talking everything from NCAA to the OHL, this all three leagues in the CHL, the NHL, everything in between. Basically, whatever kind of hockey that you want to watch, or that you like to watch, we're going to be covering it there. But for right now,
I will
Alex,
say, well, listen, I'm not going to be on the hockey show, am I? I'm not going to be on the hockey show. So I
Okay,
will
so-
say my stuff here.
Yeah.
Let me say my stuff here, and then you guys can talk whatever the heck you want to talk about on the hockey show.
But either way, so begins the path to the Memorial Cup.
Yep.
This is going to be exciting. Like, you have not had playoffs in 2 years.
Yeah.
From
2 canceled Memorial Cups, right? 2
from the
canceled
OHL,
Memorial
exactly.
Cups. That's brutal, man.
You had the WHL.
Jeez.
I think they had to cancel their playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Q, I think the Q went all the way through.
The Q did. The Q
But
did.
even still,
Yeah, they did. They did.
16 teams, 1 J. Ross Robertson Cup, 1 Memorial Cup winner. This is it.
This is it.
It's the time now, if you're a fan, to focus on the playoffs. And, you know, if you're playing for the teams, we wish you the best of luck, because this
Absolutely
is the second hardest trophy in all of hockey to win in a league. I'm not, because the Olympics.
I'm not going to
like
say that.
game.
I'm not going to say that. The KHL is a thing, even though stupidity is happening over there.
Okay,
but you know.
I will say that in my opinion, the Memorial Cup is the second hardest trophy to win in hockey.
In hockey. So, okay. So your ranking is Stanley Cup, Memorial Cup, and then what's third? What's third?
And then the Olympics.
You think the Olympics? Okay.
Or, well, you know what I mean.
I think the
Stanley Cup,
Calder.
Olympics.
I think the Calder Cup is second. I'm a big fan of that Calder Cup.
Either
Shout
way,
out to the Marlies team
I kind of jumbled my words there. It's what I meant to say was it's one of the hardest trophies to win in the game.
Mm-hmm. No,
My
it is. It is
losing my brain there, man. But it's gonna be very interesting, to say the least, to see who ends up making the finals, who wins the Memorial Cup, and you know whose legacy will forever be cemented in the CHL.
No, we'll see what happens. I have a particular team in the WHL. I think that's gonna win.
Oh yeah. We already know yours. But
they don't. I'll tweet it later.
And speaking of legacy cemented in the CHL, recently the Steelheads have released a video on 10 years of Steelheads hockey, which
yes, that was a
congratulations
very lovely
on such an amazing achievement. I mean, you look at the amount of names that they've had through the years. Stuart Percy, Riley Brace, your favorite player.
Devontae Smith-Pelly.
Riley
Brace is my favorite player. Shout out Riley Brace.
Yeah,
oh my goodness.
Brett Foy, Michael McLeod. Like, you have so many players that you could name on this roster, and you wouldn't even be able to. You would probably have to make 2 teams for the all-time Steelheads lineup.
No, you would. Yeah.
Because there, so many players that were memorable.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
10 years. I started watching the Steelheads in the 2015-16 season. That was my first season where I started watching the team, and I really started to kind of keep up with them and follow them ever since. Man, they've had some great moments. From the finals run in 2016-17 to Cole Schwint's comeback hat trick in the Reese Meyer superhero game. There are so many moments that really defined this franchise as an OHL franchise.
Absolutely.
What I want to ask you, and maybe you listening at home, you can comment this down below. Alex, do you have a favorite memory in Steelheads history that you can recall?
Okay, so when you say Steelheads memory, I can't say majors. I have to say Steelheads.
Yeah, it's got to be the Steelheads.
Got to be the Steelheads. Okay. Because the thing is, I was a fan of the Mississauga St. Michael's majors.
Yes.
The year after the Memorial Cup was hosted in Mississauga, so the
2012-13 season was
2012. It was.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. 2012-13 season. Oh my gosh, what a time that was. But no, I've been a fan of Mississauga OHL hockey since then. So I was there when the website was under construction, and they had this stupid little poll where they had 3 team names: the Steelheads, the Hurricanes, or the whatever the heck the third name was, where fans could vote for the name.
Yeah.
I wanted Hurricanes. I didn't want Steelheads, but here we are. But no, honestly, in terms of favorite moment, man, you know what? Probably it has to be that Bobby Orr Trophy win, man. It has to be that Eastern Conference championship winning team, right? Because no, listen, because I remember being at the game. That was before I started this whole journey here. I was a member of media there and all that. I was just a fan. I remember I sat right near the bench. They won it. They threw the gloves up in the air. They were celebrating, and I remember as the players were coming off the ice, JR, James Richmond, head coach, was the last man to hold the trophy. And what he did was, because there were fans crowded around the player entrance onto the ice, right? For, they want to get high fives or whatever from the players or whatnot, right? And JR, he hoisted the trophy for the fans to touch. And I remember touching the Bobby Orr trophy, and it was cool to the touch, my guy. It was cool to the touch. And I remember how that feels. I remember the smile on JR's face. And again, that was just me as a fan, right? So, but my goodness, that has to be my favorite. That, at least, because honestly, I was thinking of saying the time Riley Brace scored a hat trick, but that's not like, because I love Riley Brace. I swear, man, like my favorite OHL player of all time, one of my favorite players of all time. But no, it has to be being able to celebrate the not Memorial Cup. I wish it was a Memorial Cup, the Bobby Orr trophy with the Steelheads team that year, and being able to touch the trophy. That was really cool.
That must have been such a cool moment. And I know that my favorite moment actually was in the same season, just a little tiny bit earlier. So
right,
I think the game that I'm about to reference, it was against the Sarnia Sting. Nick Hague's overtime winner for the Steelheads to become the Central Division champions for the first time in franchise history.
Yep.
That for me was, aside from the Bobby Orr Trophy win, because again, that I think that's, like everybody's favorite memory from the Steelheads, was, winning the Central Division title, because that was just, that team was so amazing. Nick Hague, the McLeod brothers, Owen Tippett, Matthew Mancina,
Daniel Mazita Baguette.
You had so many players on that team that it's unforgettable. And the call on that goal, I know that, we talked about it. Kyle Liberto and Matt Cullen are my two favorite.
Matt Cullen, legend.
My
Kyle Liberto,
favorite
biggest fan.
Steelheads commentators of all time.
Yeah.
They were one of the reasons why I'm doing this right now. Just hearing that call between Kyle, Ali, and Matt, that for me made it so unforgettable, because that's just one of the things that, like, every time you hear it, it gives you goosebumps.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I think that was my favorite moment, aside from the Bobby Orr Trophy win, which, hopefully again they can get to that point this year, because I think they've pretty good.
If not this year, next year. That's what I say. If not this year, next year.
That's for sure. But I think that's like, our favorite moments. And I think if I was going to count a favorite moment from this season, I think it would just have to be the home opener, because everybody was there. They finally let people back in the building. We were able to see friends at the rink. Everybody was so happy. And I remember when you and I walked in to the arena for the first time since probably March of 2020. March of 2020.
Yeah.
I remember I was nearly in tears, because it didn't feel real. Just being back there and being able to say, hey, Steelheads hockey's back.
Yeah.
I think that's got to be one of the most unforgettable moments as well. Because again, it's, even now I'm trying to find the words and I can't.
No, it was special.
No,
listen, it was absolutely special because those kinds of community events, stuff like that can rally a community around. That's why sports are so popular around the world, whether it's, football in England, right? Or cricket in India, right? Soccer in Brazil, right? Sports are a great thing to bring people together, right? So not having that for over 2 years, right, was very weird. It was very different. But you know what? No, listen, that was a very nice memory. And as of right now, things are pretty decent. They're pretty good. So I don't anticipate anything like that happening again, hopefully. So
yeah. And again, I mean, of all the memories that this team has had through the last 10 years, I think those are got to be my favorites.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because, again, there's going to be a lot more memories being made.
Oh, absolutely.
Because there's still so many years left to go for this team. And, I'm looking forward to what the next few years has to bring.
Absolutely.
But I think if there's, any memories that we had, those would probably have to be our favorites. So now when I want to ask you, the viewer, is if you could pick one Steelhead's memory of all time through the last 10 years that they've had, what would be your favorite and why? Comment down below, because we want to hear what your responses are, to hear some of the crazy moments that were your favorites now that you've heard ours. Alex, before we go, is there anything else that you want to add onto the episode, about the team? Just anything?
As much as listen, okay, yeah, no, absolutely. As much as I may go on about them not having a good second half, and I do, and I probably still will to a fault of my own. Overall, it was a very good year. It was a great year overall, in terms of the kind of expectations that they had going into the year. Because how many times we talked to JR and he said, "Oh, people had us picked in." There's like a bottom 4 team in the league, bottom 5 team in the league, right? How many times has has he said that to us, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Whether it's post game, pre game, not pre game, post game, only post game. We're not, we don't hound people for interviews. We don't.
As much as you think we do, we don't.
As much as you may think I do, especially as much as you may think we do. No, honestly.
I get the feeling. And I mean, I think above all else, before the playoffs start, I just wanted to extend once again a huge thank you to the Mississauga Steelheads organization for allowing us to do what we do on a weekly basis. Because without this team in Mississauga, and Alex, without you and everybody in Pro Shot, we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing today. So huge thank you to our sponsor, CW Sports Memorabilia. A huge thank you to the Mississauga Steelheads. And Alex, huge thank you to you for doing this.
Oh, shucks. Don't go there with that garbage. We're not doing that.
So I think, the next time you're going to see us, it's going to be, the week after the playoffs, or the week of the playoffs, I should say.
The week of the playoffs.
So we're going to hang in there
after games 1 and 2. After games 1 and 2.
Exactly.
Every 2 games. We'll see how it goes. Yeah.
Yep.
That's what we'll try to do.
Exactly. So you're going to see us after the first couple of games. We'll go after that. We'll recap it. We'll share our thoughts on the game, and it's going to be super fun.
It's going to be very super fun. And also, I just want to say also one more thing.
Yes.
For viewers who go to games and might see us, say hi. It's good for the morale. Say hi, genuinely. I don't think I'm a mean person, but no, listen, it's always nice to say hi, because we're always around the rink somewhere.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
It's always nice to say hi, do those kinds of things, right? Because, we're always around the arena somewhere, so.
Exactly. So either way, playoffs are going to be fun. Regular season's done. Had a great regular season. Playoffs are just around the corner, literally 3 more sleeps, and then we're here. For those of you who haven't already done so, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the little bell notification for all future content. Thank you very much for watching. And on behalf of Alex and myself, we will see you in the playoffs.